Yo, what's good, everyone? This is the Touchdowns and Tangents show, live for 2018. I'm joined by
Kenneth, Frank Jammerberry.
And, of course, Kenny's having some sinus difficulties, so he's being a little girl, or, a little feminine, I should say. Anyways.
Wanting to breathe is feminine?
I should have just said you're being soft. How about that?
Yeah.
So, if you're joining us wherever you are, we're live right now, some parking lot in Hawthorne. Shout out to the Hood Chinese spot we just ate at.
Hong Kong Chinese.
And shout out to the Sprint store that hasn't called the police on us for sitting in the parking lot.
No, we're right by we're right behind the Starbucks, so it's cool. Everyone pretty much lingers out over here.
The point is, we're out of the usual studio, taking the show on the road. We'll be back next week, usual day, Thursday, 8 p.m. But it's playoff week. It's 2018, so, we're out here just switching up the method a little bit. So, for those of you who've never listened to the Touchdowns and Tangents podcast, what's this show like, Kenny?
This podcast is like having a realization about your life. Like, in the middle of being a fat ass and eating some food. And then looking at a homeless person, like, as you turn the corner. On, like, a Wednesday.
That was really profound. So profound, I can't wrap my head around it.
You're not supposed to.
Anyways, let's jump right into it. So, I know this is the topic you really want to talk about, Kenny. All pros were announced this week. AP All Pros. And I know there's a few guys you believe got snuffed. So why don't you go ahead and show them out?
Well, one dude who made it, and he's been one of the best linebackers since he came in the league, and he runs like a legit 4.4, and he was a safety in college and won a national championship at Florida State. Linebacker Telvin Smith, who the Raiders passed on multiple times. Raiders passed on a lot of guys who are all pros and pro bowlers. I'm just saying, like, maybe I should just become a pro scout because these dudes clearly don't know how to properly draft. Anyway, yeah, he was an all-pro. Calais Campbell went from Arizona to Jacksonville and almost led the league in sacks. All-pro. But Tre'Davious White, corner out of LSU, who had honestly one of the best rookie years in recent memory. If it wasn't for Marshawn Lattimore, pretty much arguably being one of the best corners in the league, only as like a rookie and like a top 5 pick, it literally would have been Tre'Davious White, because he had 4 picks, was like 3rd in the league in pass deflections, been a baller all year for Buffalo as the number 1 corner when everybody thought, oh man, they lost Ronald Darby, what are they going to do? And he's held it down for them tremendously. So he got snubbed from the Pro Bowl and All-Pro selection, but Pro Football Focus named him Rookie of the Year, so I guess that means something now, which is good. It's like, oh, there's finally numbers to justify what people who play sports have been saying for years, and, there you go. Shout out to Baker Mayfield. Losing to Georgia in the Rose Bowl, one of the greatest Rose Bowls ever. Georgia has too many running backs.
Include one of your Pac-12 teams.
Boise State's the best team in the Pac-12, and I've been saying it for years. I just wanted to say it before you tried to steal my take. You said off air you would. So yeah, Boise State's the best team in the Pac-12 without actually being in the Pac-12, and the only Pac-12 team to actually have lost to Boise State. Utah, they're 11-1 all time in bowl games. Their only loss coming to Boise State in the Las Vegas Bowl. Yeah, Boise State, anytime they go to Vegas, they usually win.
All right, so let's move on to...
Oh, and Cam Hayward was named an All-Pro, but wasn't named a Pro Bowler.
That's usually how it goes, though, man. So let me ask you this. What would you rather have on your resume? 4-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro?
4-time All-Pro.
Even though being a Pro Bowler is probably going to land you a little bit more endorsements, and,
it's hard to be an All-Pro and not be recognized.
It means you get recognition from the fans.
Unless you're a lineman,
I'm just playing devil's advocate because I agree with you, but
it's hard to be like. If for a skill player, it's probably almost better to be a Pro Bowler sometimes. But if you're just like Khalil Mack, all pro at 2 different positions in the same season.
Only player to ever do that.
Ever. And honestly should have been an all pro this year, but he didn't really have enough sacks. But that's what happens when you're the only real pass rusher on your team. Thank you.
So,
Raiders.
It's not like it's the first weekend of the playoffs or anything, but for some reason,
Shout out
no one's talking about that.
By the way, this is one of the most productive rookie classes probably ever in a while. So shout out to them. There's a lot of cats. Matt Judon, he had he wasn't a rookie. But
all right, man. So
there's a lot of rookies who had great years this year.
So are you gonna transition? Because this is about the third time you hijacked my transition.
Speaking of hijacking,
back to the point that I was trying to make on the Touchdowns and Tangents podcast. Nobody's talking about really the on-field product because there's a bunch of breaking news that came through today. One of the biggest stories of the day. Before we get to the topic of the title, let's touch on this. The New England Patriots.
The New England?
Isn't that appropriate for the Bostonians? Who are probably asleep right now and not listening to this and trying to be warm. But the point is, the big three, Kraft, Belichick, Brady, the cheaters, whatever you want to call them, love them, hate them, they win. There's some trouble in paradise. What do you make of the situation, KB?
Well, there's a report coming out pretty much saying that Brady or Belichick wanted to trade Brady and keep Jimmy Garoppolo. And Kraft was like,
man, which by the way,
you're smoking crack.
Which by the way, man, I'm so over the Jimmy G hype, man. If any San Francisco 49er fan out there,
fight me.
Yes, please.
I bring knives too. Don't worry about it, because I know Niners fans like to get down in San Francisco. Santa Clara, I ain't scared of them to go.
And they still blame us, but that's beyond the point.
Which, by the way, the Niners picked 9th overall in the draft, and the Raiders picked 10th. Or vice versa, because they got to do a coin flip at the draft.
Listen, man, a lot of people are taking this report in different directions. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, the Patriots always win. But for me, I really think there's a lot of validity to this report. Number one, LZ Granderson, he worked for ESPN The Magazine for a minute. He worked for the dude who wrote the story, and he said this guy has a lot of access for New England, so he's not just going to burn that for no reason. So all these anonymous sources and team personnel he's talking to are probably really witnessing this. And considering the whole TB12 method is basically a cult, I understand.
His trainer wasn't allowed, was barred from the team.
And his trainer has a record as far as doing some shady salesman stuff with supplements. So I understand players feeling the pressure of wanting to work out with him to get on Brady's good side, considering Brady's, the undisputed GOAT, and you want to have him on your side. And then you factor in the egos of Belichick, Kraft, and it all just adds up. Not to mention the press release where they kind of killed it. It sounded like something our president would say after they're retracting a White House statement, but that's just my
denying
opinion.
It.
And not just that, but Willie McGinnis, the dude who introduced Brady to his trainer, a dude who helped establish the culture that's currently in question, he actually went on record and said he kind of talked about it and said, well, yeah, the pressure's there. The pressure's always been there as far as working out with Alex. And he's like, well, yeah, all this ego stuff exists. And yeah, they traded Jimmy G because they didn't want to pay for him $25 million. So he added up all these different things, but the biggest thing that I didn't hear from him, which I was expecting to hear, is he didn't kill it. He wasn't like, oh, no, this doesn't matter at all, which is something I would expect from a Patriot. Try and defend the Patriot way, which is what they usually do in the media. Shout out to Rodney Harrison. Shout out to William McGinnis.
Teddy Bruschi.
Shout out to Bruschi.
A.K.A.
Shout out
the
to
snitch.
Vrabel. All of them.
Vrabel's a coach. Bruschi's just a snitch turn.
Vrabel was in media for a little bit.
Yeah, but he went straight to coaching.
Oh, and Nico. Nico was in media too.
Nico.
The dude who just retired. Linebacker.
Nikovic?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Rob Nikovic anywhere.
I've seen him. I saw him in the preseason a couple times.
That don't count. That was an internship.
Anyways.
Shout out to Ryan Clark.
Anyways, the point is, this is probably real, but I feel like the Patriots are probably still going to end up winning the Super Bowl and just sweep this under the rug and then deal with it another time. But that's just me. I don't know, because Belichick resigned from the Jets with a napkin, so who knows? Maybe he'll resign after this year. Maybe he'll retire. Maybe he'll go coach the Giants.
Maybe he'll retire with like a...
Maybe he'll finally trade Brady.
A heating pad. No, he can't trade Brady because they know Jimmy
Maybe he'll draft Lamar Jackson.
That was funny. I thought about that for a second.
If they draft Lamar Jackson, I don't know if I'll be a Patriots fan or incredibly pissed off.
I'd be like, you bastard. You did it on purpose. I'd be madder than when I saw Star Wars. Certain scenes in Star Wars.
Okay. So, let's move on. One more thing. The other big story of today, the $100 million story of the day. The thing we all thought wasn't coming ever happened. And no, I'm not talking about Black Jack Del Rio, Jack Del Chapo.
Those are terrible names. You thought they sounded good, didn't you? You really thought they sounded good?
I saw it from some dude on Twitter, to be honest, but yeah.
You steal a lot of stuff as of late. Like, I know you're not a journalist anymore, but stop stealing. Like,
hey, I'm citing people, all right, man? Anyways, the point is, Jon Gruden...
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt?
Just got a whole big-ass bag from the Oakland Raiders.
Like the third
and
highest.
Guess what?
10 years, $100 million.
He's putting all the homies on. Everybody's rich. Everybody's cashing out. They're talking about this being probably the highest paid group of assistants ever. Talking about having Rich Gannon as QB coach. Bringing back weak-ass Greg Olsen back as OC. Oh, wait. Sorry. Hedged my bet on that. And then getting Cincinnati's former defensive coordinator, Gunther, to come in and play DC. And then their special teams guy is also one of the best dudes in the NFL at doing that. Whose name I can't remember. Oh, he was the Cowboy special teams guy.
It was I thought it was... wait, it was DeCamillis? I thought it was somebody else. I thought it was Rich...
Oh, yeah.
Rich Sky Battler, something like that.
It's
from Tampa Bay.
Yeah, you're right. So, Kenny, what do you think? Chucky, let me put it to you this way:
coordinators are kind of trash.
How many Super Bowls does Gruden have to win in his tenure in Oakland to be considered a success?
3
in 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, how fast does he need to get there?
I'm gonna need to see at least 2 in the next 5 years.
Honestly, man,
I need to see an appearance.
Honestly, man, not even as a Raiders fan, completely objective. The Raiders need to get to an AFC championship in 2018, or this is a complete flop. And here's why. You're already eating $15 million on Jack Del Rio's contract. You're giving Gruden another $10 million. You're giving all his assistants money. Oh, and guess what? RM, those guys that you drafted, the Jihadi Wards,
bust.
We need some accountability for that. So if
Reggie McKenzie's gone.
If the Raiders don't make a deep playoff push this year, Reggie McKenzie is gone. They're already talking about him phasing out and bringing in a couple of guys to be Gruden's personnel people, and RM possibly taking a step back into the personnel role, which, honestly, man, I'm not the biggest RM guy, but I think the few draft hits he's hit, home runs, and really his contracts are great.
He got the Raiders out of contract hell.
He's great with contracts. So I feel like that alone has earned him, some respect, some stay here.
He can actually get out of the Raiders contract after 2018. That's how good of a contract negotiations guy he is. But they got to pay Khalil Mack. Like, chill. Pay that man whatever
he wants. By the way, Jack Del Rio's agent is also Jon Gruden's agent. He's also the agent for all 3 of the coordinators and probably a bunch of the assistants. So if I'm Khalil Mack, that's the dude I'm calling right now to represent me because he's getting everyone bags. So
yeah, you gotta. I don't think Gruden's worth that money, and I'm glad he's not getting ownership stake. But Reggie McKinney's definitely getting phased out. His contract goes up until 2020, which is ironically